Washington, Cardinal Bernard Law, the Boston Archbishop who became one of the most influential Catholic leaders in the United States before resigning in 2002 amid revelations that he and other prelates had known for years of rampant child molestation by parish priests, a scandal that has been called the Church's darkest crisis of the modern era, has died at 86. His death was reported by the Associated Press, citing an unnamed official of the Catholic Church. Cardinal Law was recently hospitalized in Rome. No other details were immediately available. For more than half a century, Cardinal Law dedicated himself to the Church, an institution that became his home after his itinerant upbringing as the son of a commercial and military aviator. As he rose from parish priest to Boston Archbishop, the steward of one of the most Catholic American cities, he promoted traditional Catholic doctrine and envisioned the Church as a guarantor of social justice in the 20th century. He began his ministry in segregated Mississippi, where he used his authority as editor of a diocesan publication to denounce racism. Later, as a bishop in Missouri, he made room at a seminary for about 200 Vietnamese men who had left their home after the fall of Saigon in 1975. Law's theology transcended scripture to encompass affordable housing and literacy education. Poor countries, like poor parishes, he argued, at times deserved debt forgiveness from their creditors. Years before Pope John Paul II began his historic efforts to mend the Church's scarred relationship with the Jewish community, Cardinal Law sought interreligious dialogue. On matters of theology, he shared John Paul's doctrinal conservatism. He became one of the Pope's point men in the United States, said David Gibson, an authority on the Catholic Church, as John Paul sought to reshape its ranks by identifying like-minded priests and installing them as bishops, archbishops and cardinals. But controversy engulfed Cardinal Law in the early 2000s, when a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation by the Boston Globe, later dramatized in the Academy Award-winning film Spotlight, led to revelations that church officials had covered up sexual abuse in the priesthood for decades by shuffling alleged offenders among parishes. Cardinal Law was never accused of committing sexual abuse, and he denounced the offense as a terrible evil. But for many Catholics as well as non-Catholics, he became a symbol of the Church's failure to protect the young from priests who exploited the trust that traditionally accompanies their role. While I would hope that it would be understood that I never intended to place a priest in a position where I felt he would be a risk to children, Cardinal Law said in an apology in November 2002, the fact of the matter remains that I did assign priests who had committed sexual abuse. In the course of legal proceedings arising from the scandal, Cardinal Law was called to give depositions in several civil cases and, in February 2003, appeared before a criminal grand jury considering potential indictments of him and other high-ranking Boston area prelates. Later that year, then Massachusetts Attorney General Thomas Riley concluded that there was insufficient evidence to prosecute the Boston Archdiocese or its leaders.